Imagine paying every credit card bill in full. No late payments, no interest charges, no missed deadlines. Then you open your phone and discover that your credit score just dropped 27 points. You immediately check for fraud. Nothing. You check your payment history. Perfect. So why did the system suddenly decide that you were a risk? Because the most important credit card date may not be your payment due date. In many cases, your score is reacting to a balance that was reported before your payment ever arrived. And once you understand that hidden timeline, you can stop letting one expensive week distort your financial reputation for an entire month. Before we break it down, subscribe to the Money System and hit the like button. We explain the financial rules that banks understand, but most customers are never taught. Now let's follow Marcus. Marcus has a credit card with a $6,000 limit. One weekend, he spends $2,400 on a new laptop, furniture, groceries, and a few household expenses. He is not living beyond his means. The money is already sitting in his checking account. When his credit card bill arrives, Marcus pays the entire $2,400 before the due date. From his perspective, he handled the card perfectly. But a few days later, his credit monitoring app shows a sharp decline. The problem was not the payment. The problem was the timing of the information. The two dates people confuse. Every credit card normally has at least two dates you need to understand. The first is the statement closing date. The second is the payment due date. These dates do completely different jobs. The statement closing date ends your monthly billing cycle. Around that time, your card issuer creates your statement and will often report your account information to the credit bureaus. The due date usually comes several weeks later. That is the deadline for paying at least the required amount. To avoid interest on normal purchases when you have a grace period, you generally need to pay the full statement balance by that date. Marcus only focused on the due date, but his card issuer had already reported the $2,400 statement balance. The credit bureaus did not see the money waiting in his checking account. They did not see his intention to pay. They only received the balance reported by the lender. With a $2,400 balance on a $6,000 limit, Marcus appeared to be using 40% of that credit line. So even though he later paid the bill completely and on time, his score calculated from his credit report could still react to that reported utilization. Think of your credit report as a delayed financial photograph. You may have already cleaned the room, but the photograph was taken while everything was still on the floor. Why utilization matters so much. Credit utilization is the percentage of your revolving credit limits that appears to be in use. The calculation is simple: reported balance divided by credit limit. If a card reports a $500 balance with a $5,000 limit, that card is at 10% utilization. If it reports $2,500, utilization is 50%. And if it reports $4,900, the card appears almost maxed out. In the traditional FICO framework, the broader amounts owed category represents about 30% of a typical score calculation. Utilization is an important part of that category because high revolving balances can signal financial pressure. But there is an important myth we need to eliminate. 30% is not a magical line where your score is safe at 29% and instantly destroyed at 31%. Credit scoring does not work like a light switch. Your results depend on your entire credit profile, the scoring model being used, the number of accounts you have, and other information in your report. The practical rule is much simpler. Lower reported utilization is generally better, as long as you are still managing your accounts responsibly. Being below 30% is a useful basic guideline. Being below 10% may be more favorable when you are preparing for an important application, but nobody can promise that lowering utilization by a certain amount will produce a specific number of points. One card can still create a problem. Scoring models may consider both your total utilization and the utilization on individual accounts. Suppose Olivia has 3 cards. Card 1 has a $10,000 limit. Card 2 has another $10,000 limit. Card 3 has a small $1,000 limit. Her total available revolving credit is $21,000. Now imagine that she places a $900 purchase on the third card. Across all three cards, she is only using about 4% of her total available credit. That sounds excellent, but the smaller card is reporting 90% utilization. That single account can still look heavily stressed. This is why putting a large purchase on a low-limit card may cause a bigger score movement than putting the same purchase on a card with a much higher limit. The purchase did not become more dangerous, the ratio changed. And if this explanation is already changing how you view your cards, hit the like button. It helps more people discover the financial mechanics hiding behind their banking apps. How to control the reported balance. The solution is not to stop using credit cards. It is not to carry expensive debt, and it is not to make 5 payments every week. The goal is simply to know when your issuer usually reports your balance. Open one of your recent credit card statements. Look for language such as statement closing date, billing period, or billing cycle ending. You can also contact the issuer and ask when account balances are normally reported, because reporting schedules can vary. Once you identify the approximate date, put a reminder in your calendar 3 or 4 days earlier. Now imagine your card closes on the 18th. On the 14th, your current balance is $1,600 and your limit is $5,000. That's 32% utilization on that account. You have the cash available, so you make an early payment of $1,300. After the payment posts, your balance falls to $300. If that lower balance is what the issuer reports, the card now shows 6% utilization instead of 32%. You still used the card, you still earned any eligible rewards, but the number sent to the bureaus may better represent your ability to manage the account. When the statement is generated, pay the remaining statement balance in full by the due date. That final step matters. Reporting a balance is not the same as carrying debt from one billing cycle into the next. A balance can appear on your statement and reported to the bureaus without costing you interest, provided you pay the statement balance in full by the due date and your account qualifies for a grace period. Never pay interest just to build credit. Interest is not a credit-building subscription fee.
Should every card report 0? This is where many credit optimization videos become unnecessarily complicated. You may hear that every card must report 0 except one card which should report exactly 1%. That approach is sometimes called all 0 except 1. A very small reported balance may produce slightly different scoring results than having every revolving account report 0. But 0 utilization is not evidence that you did something wrong. It is not a late payment, it is not a negative account, and it does not damage your credit history. It may simply mean that a particular scoring model has no recent revolving balance to evaluate or reward. For most people, the difference is not worth obsessing over every month. Your priority should remain pay every bill on time, avoid interest, keep reported balances reasonably low, and check your credit reports for errors.
Micromanaging one card to report a tiny balance may be useful when you are preparing for a mortgage, auto loan, or another major credit application, and you want your report to look as strong as reasonably possible. But during normal months, you do not need to redesign your entire life around a 1% target.
Do not turn off your safety net. Some people learn about statement dates and immediately disable autopay. That can create a much more serious problem. A high reported balance may affect your score temporarily. A missed payment can cause lasting damage. Keep autopay activated for at least the minimum payment. Better yet, set it to pay the full statement balance when your cash flow allows it. Then, make an additional manual payment before the statement closes when you want to reduce the amount likely to be reported. The manual payment helps manage utilization. Autopay protects you if you forget.
Do not sacrifice payment history while chasing a few potential utilization points. When this strategy matters most, you do not need to perform this routine on every card every month forever. It becomes most useful before applying for new credits. If you expect to apply for a mortgage or auto loan within the next 30 to 60 days, review every revolving account. Check both the total utilization across all cards and the percentage reported on each individual card. Pay down high balances early enough for the lower numbers to be reported. Avoid opening unnecessary new accounts. Do not make large purchases immediately before the application unless they are necessary, and continue paying every statement in full by the due date. Remember that your credit score is only one part of an approval decision. Lenders may also examine your income, employment, existing monthly obligations, recent applications, down payment, cash reserves, and the specific scoring model used for that loan.
2 mistakes to avoid. The first mistake is repeatedly spending your full credit limit, paying it down, and immediately spending the entire limit again during the same billing cycle. An early payment is normal, but repeatedly cycling several times through a small limit may attract additional attention from an issuer. If your normal monthly spending regularly exceeds your limit, ask whether you qualify for a credit limit increase or use a different payment method. Do not treat early payments as a way to manufacture unlimited purchasing power. The second mistake is closing an older card without calculating the effect. Suppose you owe $2,000 across cards with a combined $20,000 limit. Your overall utilization is 10%. Now you close an unused card with a $10,000 limit. Your debt remains $2,000, but your total available limit falls to $10,000. Your utilization has now doubled to 20%. Closing an account may still make sense if it has an expensive annual fee, poor terms, fraud concerns, or encourages overspending. Just do not assume that closing it will automatically improve your score. The system is changing. Older scoring systems often place heavy emphasis on the balances appearing in your current credit report. That is why a lower, newly reported balance can sometimes lead to a relatively quick score change. But newer models, including FICO Score 10T, can examine balance trends over a longer period. That means the future of credit scoring is moving beyond one perfect monthly photograph. A borrower who regularly increases debt may look different from someone who consistently pays balances down. So the strongest long-term strategy is not to hide financial stress for one day. It is to build a genuine pattern of low balances, on-time payments, controlled borrowing, and stable cash flow. Timing can improve how your behavior is reported. It cannot replace healthy financial behavior. Final protocol. Here is the complete system. First, continue paying every bill by the due date. Second, identify when each card's statement normally closes and when the issuer reports account information. Third, calculate both your individual card utilization and your total revolving utilization. Fourth, when you need a lower reported balance, make an early payment several days before the expected reporting date. Fifth, allow the statement to generate. Then pay the remaining statement balance in full by the actual due date. Keep autopay active as protection. Do not carry interest-bearing debt just to create activity, and do not panic when your score moves after one high spending month. A score is not a moral judgment, it is a mathematical estimate built from information that may already be several weeks behind your real financial position. Once you understand the reporting schedule, the score becomes far less mysterious. Try this with one card during your next billing cycle. Find the closing date, reduce the balance before it is reported, then compare the next update in your credit monitoring account. If you notice a change, come back and tell us what happened, but remember that results vary because every credit file and scoring model is different. Subscribe to The Money System for more explanations about the hidden rules controlling debt, credit, investing, and wealth.
Like the video, share it with someone who always pays on time but still doesn't understand why their score keeps moving, and watch the next video to learn how lenders judge your finances before they ever approve your application. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and is not personalized financial advice.